Hi guys, Jay here. Uh, this week's vlog is starting off a little differently to the way in which last week's began, but in light of the terrible tragedy which has unfolded in Paris, France, I felt that this is the way that this week's video needed to start. So before we get into the rest of this week's vlog, here is a video which I made as I sat here in the late stages of editing and production as I learned of the happenings in Paris, France on the day of the attacks. And I guess in some small way it's my way of joining my heart and thoughts and prayers with the many thousands of prayers and thoughts and many thousands of people worldwide whose hearts are breaking for Paris, France at the moment. This is a very difficult video to make, and I make it for no other reason than an effort to have my prayers and my love and my thoughts join those being sent from around the world this morning to Paris, France. You'll no doubt be aware of the tragedy that has happened there and the news that we here in New Zealand, where I live, have woken up to this morning, and that the rest of the world is learning of. The latest news coming out of Paris is that at least 140 people are confirmed dead. 100 people were taken hostage in a movie theatre, and several explosions have been detonated around the city. One was very close to the Stade de France, which was full of people watching the French and German football teams play a match at the time it went off. And I have friends in Cambridge here, my hometown, who have family members in Paris at the moment. And those people in Paris, those family members are also my friends. And I'm not only thinking of my friends, of course, I'm joining with the rest of the world in thinking of all of Paris and all of France. You may wonder why I mentioned the fact that I live in Cambridge, New Zealand, and I did so because today it feels particularly poignant to mention the fact that Cambridge, New Zealand actually has a French sister city, and that is Le Quesnoy. So that's another strong connection there that Cambridge will always feel with France. It's hard in the sense to even choose the right words to say. There are no right words to say when tragedies like this happen. But I just wanted to make this video in the hope that anyone who needs to hear this will hear it. New Zealand's prayers and love and thoughts are with you, France and Paris. My thoughts and my love and my prayers are with you, France and Paris. And yeah, we stand with you in this horrible, shocking time that you now have to negotiate and begin to walk through the aftermath of what's happened. So as shallow as that may sound, or as useful as that may or may not be, I wanted to join the world, join the chorus of prayers being sent to Paris this morning. We stand with you, Paris. G'day guys, welcome to Monday, the start of the second week of these vlogs, and I thought I would start the week by telling you a little bit of a story, but before I do so, there's a clock about 2 meters that way, and it chimes. So if it chimes at any point during our chat, all good. I'm in a park on the main street of town here, and the clock is also on the main street of town, so what can you do? That's all good. But anyway, the story goes like this, and if I had to summarize it, I guess it would be something like illustrating the difference between knowing what's possible and believing that something is possible and being willing to chase what is possible and push the boundaries of what is possible. In the 1800s, there was a Frenchman by the name of Charles Blondin, and he was a tightrope walker, you know, like those acrobats who walk across ropes and perform balancing stunts and tricks. And where Charles Blondin gained his notoriety and fame was that he actually put a rope across the Niagara Falls on the Canada-American border, and the rope was about 1,100 meters long. So that was the distance that he crossed, and for those of us in New Zealand, as we know, that's about 1 kilometre in length, and it was 50 metres above the water, and the rope was about 8.3 centimetres wide. That's my estimate at 8.3 centimetres. So he first did this crossing on the rope in 1859, and did lots of other subsequent crossings in the years that followed, and he would do all sorts of stunts while making these crossings, including one day he did it blindfolded. He would cross the rope on stilts. He even took a stove, a frying pan and an egg across the rope one day, and at the halfway point he literally took a snack break and cooked an egg and then finished the crossing once he'd finished eating the egg. And of course these exploits gained him a lot of followers, a lot of fans, so huge crowds would line each side of the gorge to watch Charles Blondin do these stunts that he became well known for. And I think it was in about 1860 there was a group of royals who came from England, and on this particular day, as they were watching Charles Blondin, he was busily pushing a wheelbarrow across the rope in front of him as he made his, traditional Niagara Falls crossing, and he then went and put a sack of potatoes in the wheelbarrow and pushed that across the falls, and then he sort of shocked the crowd by saying to them, would anyone like to jump into the wheelbarrow and come across the falls with me? In fact, he even then directed that question to the Duke of Newcastle, who, probably rightfully so, declined the kind offer, and as did everyone else in the crowd, until the point where there was a little old lady who stepped forward and said, "Yep, I'll do it," put up her hand and said, "Yep, I'll jump in the wheelbarrow." And so into the wheelbarrow she got, this little old lady, and Blondin walked across to the other side of the falls and back with this little old lady in the wheelbarrow, and as legend has it, I believe that little old lady was in fact Charles Blondin's mother. And I just share that cool little story with a little illustration to make this point. In life, if you guys are wanting to see what's possible, if you have dreams and aspirations and things that you know are doable, that you want to try, go for it. Don't let fears and what other people might think or what other people tell you is possible stop you from seeing where you can go in life. See, the crowd would have known, the crowds that gathered to watch Charles Blondin do those crossings would have known that it's possible. They've watched him do it and over again. They knew it was possible, but they weren't willing to try. And with us, I just want to leave you with this little bit of an encouragement. If you know something is possible, be willing to try. Give it a shot. There's no harm in trying. And be encouraged. If you have something, as I said, that you want to aim for, go for it. I think that'll do for today. I could say more, but I won't. I will leave it there. Cool little illustration though, isn't it really? Jump in the wheelbarrow. G'day guys, Editing Jay here, just putting the finishing touches on this week's vlog, and I thought I would just take a moment to quickly explain to you what's happening in this footage that you're about to watch. My little sister Amy, who I will introduce to you further later on in the vlog, had asked me to take her on a bit of a mission to get some time lapses and that kind of thing so she could learn. So in this next clip that you're about to watch, that's what's happening here. Are you filming?
I guess the answer is yes.
G'day guys, it's now a few hours on from that first clip you saw today, and I'm now off to get some brand spanking new clothes. I have a friend's wedding to go to tomorrow, so I've got to spruce up and make sure I look the part. Oh, look. Spider-Man, roughly there. And also, just a quick side note, if you have any questions like, Jay, how come you never walk around with us filming and take us places, you know, and we never see clips of you walking around? Well, basically, the answer is that I do that out of respect for wanting to give you guys nice, steady shots. See, as we talked about last week, I walk with a limp, and often when I walk around filming, shots that seem steady and, you know, straight and even to me actually don't look that straight and even when I come to edit them in production. You guys might say a couple of things to me. One, Jay, don't focus on the way you walk. It doesn't define your value or worth as a person. And number two, don't make fun of yourself. Don't sell yourself short. And those are fair comments, but in response I would say, number one, I don't focus on the way I walk. Number two, I don't believe the way I walk or limp defines my worth as a person. And probably most importantly, three, I love a good laugh, and I like the next person enjoy cracking people up. So from time to time, if I can make little jokes about the way I walk or my limp and it brings a smile to people's faces, I gotta be honest, I'm happy with that. I love it when people laugh and smile. Amy had a clever idea in the lead up to this year's Rugby World Cup. At that event, the New Zealand rugby team, the All Blacks, became the first ever rugby team to win back-to-back Rugby World Cup championships. Essentially, what Amy did was she built a 1 metre high All Black standing on a rugby field, running with the ball, based on New Zealand player Sam Whitelock. There were 10,000 pieces of Lego in that creation, and it took her about 2 weeks to build. I produced a little bit of a video on her creation, which I put on this channel about a month ago. It was exciting because the video was picked up on by several news websites here in New Zealand, including TVNZ, one of the major television networks, and the Waikato Times, a daily Fairfax newspaper, and it also appeared on a television show called Kiwi Living and on a TV1 show called Breakfast. It was a neat video to make, and I thought I would share that with you just because I thought it was pretty creative on her part. I will link the full video in the description below, so if you want to go and check that out, you're more than welcome. Alright guys, off to a friend's wedding now. I'll film what I can. I don't know what I can and can't film, but we'll see. I'm sure it's going to be a lovely ceremony. See you again soon.